Back in studio with Greg Buchanan, talking a few more items in the world of local sports. As again, despite it being technically a slow time of the year, there's actually a lot going on in Lloydminster this month. Not just because of the CPCA finals, but also because of some of the championships we've had, including the AA Senior Men's Baseball Provincials, where unfortunately the Border City Blue Jays were unable to defend their back-to-back provincial titles from the past 2 years, going 2-2 in their round robin, thus eliminated. And yeah, tough one for the Jays. Yeah,
tough one for the Jays. Parkland wins it out of Yorkton area, defeated North Battleford in the final. Parkland's a good, strong team, good pitching, good hitting. Border City Blue Jays had a great regular season in the River League. Unfortunately, they didn't come to play against Standard Hill, and Standard Hill defeated them. So, you know what, you kind of wondered going into provincials what Blue Jay team we'll see. That team that played so well during the regular season had a setback in playoffs, or that team that had that setback in playoffs, and it kind of was that team that had that setback in playoffs. But you know what? There's some great teams there this past weekend. So you know what? The Blue Jays have nothing to hang their heads about.
And another disappointment that stems not from specifically what happened during the weekend, but leading up to the weekend, you didn't have the Lloydminster Twins at provincials, who have not been at provincials for a couple of years, but kind of too bad that we couldn't have had both local teams at provincials for that weekend. Yeah,
you kind of wish that that would have happened. Yeah, the Twins haven't been at provincials for a few years now, and you know, good to see the Jays, and they have been a provincial force, and they kind of took a step back this year. But you know, they have some young kids coming up, and you know, Jesse Stansfield's one of those kids that really stands out for the Jays, and look for him and some other younger ones that step up, and they'll be good down the road too.
Another local event happening over the past weekend was the Paul Douglas annual tennis tournament, their big tournament of the year. Once again, huge numbers, helped in part by those 2 extra courts they've had. And on a weekend where Canadian tennis was obviously quite the event, with Bianca Andreescu winning the Rogers Cup, you had a lot of people in town show up not only to play but also cheer on people at the tennis tournament.
You know, well, that's great to see, because they put a lot of money into those courts and expanded the courts and making the court. And you're seeing all that going around rec facilities and the sports diamonds. You look at the ball diamonds for the Bantam right by the hospital, getting ready for Westerns this weekend. So they're upgrading the tennis courts. So that's great to see. And more, you're hoping that going to drive more people to the tennis courts when they see the upgrades they have made.
And we're probably driving a few people towards those ballparks as well with this upcoming weekend in that championship.
Yeah, I got Western Canadian Bantam Boys Baseball Championship, so a lot of good ball players in town, a lot of Cowboys too in town, so it'll be a good mix of a whole lot of fun, from chuck wagon racing to baseball. A lot of sports to watch this weekend.
Yeah, and we were talking off camera just a little bit with conditioning camp starting in the Civic Center. Hockey's really become a 12-month sport now.
It definitely is. Hockey, you know, back in the days when I was playing junior, it's nothing to where it is now. You know, you got in shape 2 weeks before training camp, and you didn't do dry land or anything. Now it's 12 months a year. There's dry land training 12 months a year. Doesn't matter if you're 8 years old or 18 years old, you're on the ice, and you could be on the ice for 12 months a year. There's some people feel that, I don't know, that's a great thing. Sometimes it's almost too much hockey for kids, and sometimes kids need to be kids come summertime. Let them go to the lake, let them have some fun, and go back to hockey in September. So, you know, there's kind of a debate always about that.
And as there always will be. Any debates coming up on the pro sports show, or sorry, the sports show tomorrow night?
Yeah, Tuesday night sports show, usually live from the Canadian Brew House, but tomorrow night will be at the Stockade Building at the Women of the Wagons Gala, brought to you by Women of the Wagons, as well as the Lloydminster Exhibition. We'll talk a little CFL. Derek Taylor, the voice of the Riders, will be in. Also the voice of the Edmonton Eskimos, Morley Scott, will be in, talking about what was an interesting week in the CFL, including a game that was shortened by weather in Montreal and awarded the win to the Riders, even though they didn't play the full game. And also we'll have all the latest in the CPCA setting up for the CPCA finals.
Can't wait to see that, and can't wait for the awards banquet tomorrow. Have a great rest of your evening.